In this weekly five, I want to talk about the highly politicized issue of transgender students. But what I really want to do is to try to bring some perspective to the overall issue. Because in the past couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of information out there from both our educational leaders and our politicians that make comments that talk about the safety of our students based upon this, talked about what President Obama said, and really and truly much of this lacks a lot of the accuracy that we really need to have if we're going to make good decisions about this particular issue. First of all, let's talk about what the federal government has said overall. There is a claim out there by many people that President Obama ordered all schools to make all bathrooms transgender. That is not exactly true. What is true is that the Department of Justice looked at the Title IX issue and said, you know what, based on Title IX, is that no student should have to prove that they are male or female. So it's a little bit different than what we've heard overall. The other thing that I want to make clear, and it kind of fits in with this, is that the truth of the matter is that schools can be very difficult if students do not fall within a very narrow realm of parameters. It doesn't have to be the transgender issue. You're obese, you look different in some way, you're not as academically attuned to what's going on as somebody else is. There are a number of ways for someone to feel somewhat isolated and ostracized. But our job has always been to be an advocate for our kids. And this has been true through time and through history. And we've had time where individuals, and you had our politicians and some other individuals that would say that school is over as we know it because we would have integration. And integration oftentimes had to have military make sure that they were kept safe as they walked through. When we brought on special ed law, and we talked about Title IX not too long ago, and Title IX has done a lot of things to provide opportunities for women in our schools as well. And these have all been for the best. So what do we know about transgender? Well, first of all, we know that there are not many of them. Around 0.5% of the population identifies as transgender, which means that 99.5% of us have a hard time really understanding what they're going through. But you can imagine the difficulty of trying to fit in when you really can't figure out yourself within the culture that you live in. The second thing is there is absolutely no evidence that there's any safety issues in regard to transgender individuals. And the other thing is that there is evidence to suggest that transgender individuals want to be as unassuming as possible. And so all this attention right now is not something that they want to have happen either. But I'll tell you, there is one thing, and this is the one thing that any administrator has to be aware of and they have to work with, is that there are historical expectations that may be difficult to work with among both your parents and your community. And so how to do that is going to be difficult, and I'm not trying to say this is easy, but leadership does look like something when it comes to this. And so what you need to do if you want to lead in this particular area is to ignore a lot of the hyperbole you hear from some of our more outspoken educational leaders and from many of our politicians. And so what you need to do through that is spend some time to educate yourself in regard to the issues with transgender students. The other part is, as you do it, try to, and certainly individuals who have their mind made up are not going to change their mind easily, but do what you can to educate others on the matter. And bottom line is, you've got to be an advocate for all students, and this includes transgender students. Now, this doesn't mean transgender students get everything that they want, but it also means that there is usually a compromise, a middle ground of some sort, in which all students can be given the educational environment for them to learn the best. I want to real quickly thank Ginger Pippin, Amy Dennis, Becky Rutledge, and I left a name off here, Kim Marshall, for the comments they had last week on the discipline video. And as always, at UT Tyler, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know.